The sky of the alien world was painted in two suns, one red, one gold. Their light touched the wide silver river that cut through the jungle. Strange birds with crystal wings circled above, screaming sharp cries that echoed like broken glass. Ryan stood on the rocky bank, sweat running down his forehead. His boots were muddy, his clothes torn from the thorn trees. He had been exploring this world for 3 days, alone, recording details for his mission. But today something strange reached his ears. It was not an animal sound. It was not the call of the jungle. It was a cry, a human cry, or at least something close to human. Ryan froze. His heart beat faster. The cry came again, sharp and desperate. He ran forward, pushing through glowing plants until he saw the silver river open before him. And there, in the violent current, was a figure. A woman. Her body shimmered, skin pale like moonlight. Her hair spread in the water like strands of liquid silver. She fought the current, arms thrashing, but the river was strong, pulling her under. Each time her face broke the surface, she gasped, choking, eyes wide with terror. Ryan didn't think. He threw his bag aside, ripped off his jacket, and leapt into the river. The water was colder than ice. It bit into his skin and dragged him down. The current tried to twist him, to pull him like a puppet. He kicked hard, arms cutting through the waves, eyes locked on the drowning woman. She went under again. Ryan dived, his lungs burning. He saw her just below, hair glowing faintly. In the dim light, he grabbed her arm. Her skin was warm, strange, almost vibrating with energy. She fought weakly, panic filling her movements, but Ryan held her tight. With a mighty kick, he pulled her up. They broke the surface together, coughing, gasping. The river screamed around them, carrying them downstream. Ryan forced his body toward the shore. Every muscle ached. His arms felt heavy, but he refused to let go. "Hold on," he shouted, though he doubted she understood his language. Her eyes met his. They were not human eyes. They glowed faint blue like stars trapped in glass. For a heartbeat, Ryan forgot the danger. Then the current smashed them against a hidden rock, pain exploding in his shoulder. He gritted his teeth, dragging her closer. Step by step, breath by breath, he forced them toward the riverbank. His boots found solid ground at last. He pulled her out, collapsing onto the stones, chest heaving. The alien woman lay beside him, coughing water, body trembling. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but no words came. Only her eyes spoke, a storm of fear, confusion, and something Ryan could not name. He sat up slowly, still catching his breath. "You're safe now," he whispered, though his voice shook. But safety was a lie, because from the jungle shadows came movement. Figures emerged, tall, armored, holding spears of burning light. Their faces were marked with glowing lines, their eyes sharp as knives. A whole group of them surrounded Ryan and the woman. The air grew heavy, charged with silent anger. Ryan raised his hands, trying to show he meant no harm. His heart pounded harder than when he fought the river. He had saved her life, yet the way these warriors looked at him, he felt more like a criminal than a savior. One of them spoke in a deep, harsh voice. The words were alien, but the meaning carried in his tone: accusation, warning. Ryan shook his head. "I didn't hurt her, I saved her," he said, his voice desperate. The alien woman struggled to sit up. She looked at the warriors, then at Ryan, her glowing eyes filled with conflict. The leader of the group stepped forward. He raised his spear and spoke again, his voice like thunder. Ryan didn't understand the words, but he understood the weight. This was not a thank you. This was a judgment. The woman reached out, her hand brushing Ryan's wrist. Her lips moved, a whisper so soft it was almost lost in the sound of the river. The warrior's eyes widened. Murmurs spread through the group. The leader lowered his spear, but his gaze burned with something heavier than hate, something ancient, final. Ryan felt a chill deeper than the river water. He had stepped into something greater than himself. By saving her life, he had changed his own. The silence after the river fight did not last. The air was thick, heavy with strange energy. Ryan could still hear the rush of water behind him, but now another sound filled the jungle. Footsteps, slow, heavy, purposeful. The warriors surrounded him fully now. 10, maybe more. Each was taller than Ryan, their skin patterned with glowing, blue lines that moved like living fire under their flesh. Their armor looked grown, not made, as if the jungle itself had given birth to it. In their hands were spears tipped with blades of crystal, humming softly, like angry wasps ready to sting. Ryan kept his hands raised. He forced himself to breathe slowly. His eyes flicked to the woman he had saved. She was sitting upright now, chest rising and falling, water still dripping from her silver hair. But she didn't move away from him. Instead, she stayed close, her glowing eyes darting between him and the clan. The leader stepped forward. He was broader than the others, his face marked with 3 bright scars glowing like molten rock. His eyes locked on Ryan, burning with cold judgment. He spoke in their language, a rolling sound that felt ancient and sharp. Ryan didn't understand the words, but he understood the weight. This was not a conversation. This was a verdict. "I don't know what you're saying," Ryan said, his voice steady though his heart thundered. "I saved her, that's all." The leader's gaze flickered to the woman. She struggled to her feet, unsteady, but her back straightened with pride. She placed her hand on Ryan's arm. The touch was light, but it shocked him more than the river had. The warriors murmured among themselves. Their glowing marks pulsed as if reacting to what they were seeing. The leader lifted his spear, pointing it at Ryan's chest. Then suddenly he slammed the spear into the ground. A pulse of blue light spread through the earth like lightning. Ryan froze. He felt the ground vibrate under him. The air shimmered, heavy with unseen power. The woman spoke then, her voice clear though soft. The words were alien, but her tone carried weight. She looked at the leader, then at Ryan, and said something that made every warrior stiffen. The leader's eyes widened. His jaw tightened. Then, slowly, he spoke a single word. It echoed through the clearing, vibrating in Ryan's bones. The warriors dropped to one knee. Ryan blinked. Confusion twisted inside him. He turned to the woman, but her glowing eyes were locked on him with something he couldn't name. Fear, sadness, and something else. Something like acceptance. What's happening?" Ryan whispered. The leader stepped closer, his shadow falling over Ryan. He placed a massive hand on Ryan's shoulder. The touch was not gentle, not friendly, but filled with iron certainty. "Lifeholder," the leader said, in broken, accented English. Ryan's breath caught. He had not expected to hear his own language from this man. "Life, what?" he asked. The woman lowered her head. Her voice trembled when she spoke, but her words were clear. "By sacred law, the one who saves a life of our blood becomes lifeholder. I don't belong to you." The world tilted around Ryan. His mind spun. He had come here to explore, to survive, not to own someone, not to step into an ancient law of another world. "No," he said quickly, shaking his head. I didn't mean for this. I don't own you. I don't own anyone." But the warriors only stared at him with their glowing eyes as if his protest was meaningless. The leader pressed harder on his shoulder, forcing him down to one knee. The word came again, booming like thunder from many voices at once. "Lifeholder!" Ryan's heart pounded. The jungle seemed to close around him. He looked at the woman. She was trembling, not from weakness, but from something deeper. Her eyes, glowing with trapped stars, met his. "I do not wish it," she whispered. "But the law cannot be broken." Her words cut deeper than the river's cold. Ryan realized then that saving her had not ended a danger. It had begun one. The leader turned, raising his spear to the sky. The warriors struck their weapons against the ground in unison, a rhythm like war drums. The jungle shook with the sound. Birds fled, animals cried in fear. The woman, Liara, as Ryan would soon learn her name, clutched her chest, as if the weight of invisible chains had fallen upon her. She looked at Ryan again, and in her glowing eyes was a plea. Not for freedom. Not for escape, but for understanding. Ryan swallowed hard. He had thought he was only one man alone on a strange world, but now the clan had claimed him, and by their law he was bound to the woman he had saved, whether he wanted it or not. The jungle was still trembling from the warrior's chant. The word life holder still echoed in Ryan's ears like a curse he could not shake off. He stood. Among strangers, their glowing spears pointed at the ground, but their eyes locked on him as if he were no longer just a man. He was something else now. Ryan swallowed hard. His chest rose and fell with uneven breaths. He turned to the woman he had saved. Her silver hair was still wet, strands clinging to her glowing skin. Her eyes avoided his, as if ashamed. He crouched near her, speaking softly. "Tell me what this means, please. Why are they calling me that?" Her lips parted, trembling, but she did not answer. Instead, she looked to the leader. The massive warrior with molten scars stepped forward, his crystal spear gleaming. He placed the weapon's butt against the ground, and when he spoke again, his voice was heavy with tradition. "In our tongue," the leader began, slowly forming words in broken English, "there is law, older than stars." He pointed at Ryan with 2 fingers glowing faintly blue. "You save life. So, she is yours." Ryan's stomach twisted. He shook his head quickly. "No, that's not how it works. I couldn't let her drown. That doesn't mean she belongs to me." The leader's expression did not change. His eyes were stone. His words carried no space for argument. "It is written. The law binds us. It cannot be broken." The woman, Liara, though Ryan did not yet know her name, finally raised her voice. Her tone was softer, but it carried more weight than the leader's. "Sacred law says when one of the bloodline is saved, the savior becomes life holder. It is our bond, our chains, our protection." Ryan blinked. The words hit him harder than the river's current. "Chains? Protection? That sounds like slavery." Her glowing eyes flickered with pain. "Not slavery. Not exactly. It is belonging. It means my life is tied to yours. Your will is above mine. My honor is bound to you." Ryan's jaw clenched. Anger flared in his chest. "No, that's wrong. I don't own you. I don't own anybody. Back where I come from, saving someone doesn't mean you get to control them." The warriors stirred at his words, their glowing lines pulsing with agitation. Some whispered in their own tongue. Ryan felt the tension thicken like a storm cloud. The leader's hand tightened around his spear. Liara closed her eyes for a moment. Her shoulders trembled, but when she spoke again, her voice was steady. "You cannot refuse. The law is not a choice. It is older than this river, older than my people's memory. If it is broken, the clan will suffer shame. And shame—" She stopped, her voice cracking. "Shame means death." Ryan stared at her. The weight of her words sank into him like cold iron. This was not simply about him or her. This was about an entire people, bound by rules older than reason. He pressed a hand against his forehead, trying to think. So what happens now? What do they expect me to do? The leader stepped forward again. His deep voice rumbled like distant thunder. "You will claim her. She will serve. You will walk as one, until death ends the bond." Ryan's breath caught. "Until death?" The warriors struck their spears against the ground again, confirming the law. The jungle shook with the rhythm. Liara's voice was quieter now, almost like a whisper of wind through the trees. "You saved me. And so now, my life is yours, whether you wish it or not." Ryan felt the ground tilt under him. He looked at her, really looked at her. The proud way she held herself, the sorrow hiding behind her glowing eyes, the weight she carried even as she stood drenched from the river. She was not weak. She was not helpless. And yet, tradition had caged her. His fists clenched. I don't accept this. I won't treat you like property. If I'm your so-called life holder, then I swear, I'll find a way to free you. The words made the warriors bristle. The leader's scarred face darkened with rage, but Liara's eyes widened, shock and something like hope flickering there for the first time. You speak against the law, the leader growled. His English was broken, but the fury inside it was clear. If you break it, you break us. And breaking means war. Ryan's throat went dry. He realized he was standing on a knife's edge. Every word he said could doom him or her. But even as fear twisted inside him, he refused to bow. His gaze locked on Liara's glowing eyes. If this bond is real, he said slowly, then let it mean more than chains. Let it mean choice. The leader's spear slammed into the ground once more. Sparks of blue light jumped across the dirt, snapping like fire. The warriors raised their voices in a chant, one Ryan could not understand, but felt deep in his bones. Liara whispered, so softly, only he could hear. You do not understand, human. The bond is stronger than choice, and soon you will be tested. Ryan's blood ran cold. Tested? By what? Before he could ask, the warriors closed in, guiding him and Liara away from the riverbank, deeper into the glowing jungle. And with every step, Ryan felt the invisible chains tighten. The jungle swallowed Ryan and Liara as the warriors led them deeper into their territory. Strange lights moved in the shadows, plants glowing with soft fire, insects with crystal wings buzzing in the air. Every step felt heavier, every sound sharper. Ryan's chest was tight. His mind raced with questions, but no answers came. He had saved a drowning woman, and now he was bound by a law he did not understand. He glanced at Liara. She walked beside him, her silver hair still damp, her glowing eyes lowered. She did not speak. He wanted to ask her more, but the leader's gaze burned into his back like a blade. Ryan clenched his fists. He hated feeling powerless. The warriors finally brought them into a wide clearing. At its center stood a towering, stone structure carved with glowing symbols. Fires burned in shallow pits, casting blue flames that made the night feel colder, not warmer. The air hummed with an energy that raised the hairs on Ryan's arms. The leader turned and faced the clan. His voice thundered across the clearing in their alien tongue. The others answered, their chant rising like a storm. Ryan could not understand the words, but he understood their meaning. Judgment. Liara finally spoke, her voice soft but heavy with warning. They do not trust you. They see you as an outsider, unworthy of the bond. Ryan's jaw tightened. I never asked for the bond. Her eyes flickered with sorrow. And yet you cannot refuse it. The law is not for you to choose. Before Ryan could answer, a warrior stepped forward from the crowd. He was taller than the rest, his glowing mark sharper, his eyes burning with pride. His armor was darker, his spear longer, the crystal blade sharper than the others. He pointed, the weapon directly at Ryan. His voice rang with challenge even before the leader translated. Liara's face paled. This is Kale, she whispered. He is the clan's strongest. He seeks honor. He will not let you keep the bond without proving yourself. Ryan felt his stomach twist. Kale's stare was pure fire, filled with rage and insult. He spoke, again, and this time, the leader translated in rough English. You are weak, human, unworthy. If you are life holder, then fight, prove, or die. The clan erupted in shouts of approval. Spears struck the ground in rhythm, echoing like war. Drums. Ryan raised his hands. Wait, I didn't come here to fight. I saved her life, that's all. I don't want her to be... But before he could finish, Kale's spear tip grazed his chest. A thin spark of blue light stung his skin. Ryan stepped back, heart pounding. Liara moved quickly, placing herself between Ryan and Kale. Her voice was sharp, filled with anger. The law is not yours to twist, Kyle. He saved me. He is life holder by right. But Kyle only sneered. Then let him prove it. Or let him die. Ryan's mind spun. He had no weapons, no armor, no training for alien combat. Against Kale, he was nothing. But the way the clan shouted, the way their eyes glowed with expectation, told him there was no escape. Refuse, and he would be killed. Accept, and he might still die. He looked at Liara. Her glowing eyes were filled with fear, but also something else. Desperation. If you do not fight, she whispered, they will not only kill you, they will kill me too. They will say the bond was false. Ryan's breath caught. His throat tightened. He had wanted to free her, not drag her deeper into danger. But now if he stepped away, she would pay the price. His fists clenched. His fear hardened into resolve. Fine, Ryan said, his voice steady though his body trembled. If this is the only way, then I'll fight. The clan roared in approval. The leader raised his spear high, blue sparks lighting the clearing. He declared something in their tongue, and the warriors struck the ground in rhythm again. Kale's smile was cruel, his glowing marks pulsing brighter. He spun his spear in a deadly circle, the crystal blade humming like a storm. He wanted blood. Ryan had no weapon, no armor, no plan. Only his human instincts, his stubborn will, and the fire in his chest telling him to survive. Liara touched his arm briefly before stepping back. Her voice was low, urgent. Do not fight like them. Fight like yourself. Use what they cannot see. Her words echoed in his mind as Kale stepped forward, ready to strike. Ryan's heart pounded like the drums of war. He was about to face an alien warrior in front of an entire clan. He had no idea how to win. Only the knowledge that losing meant death, not just for him, but for the woman whose life he had saved. The circle closed around them. The fire burned higher. The clan's chant shook the night. Kyle raised his spear. Ryan raised his fists, and the trial began. The night air grew colder as the clan formed a wide circle around Ryan and Kale. Blue fire from the pits flickered against their armored faces, making their glowing marks blaze brighter. The chant had stopped now. Silence fell. The jungle itself seemed to hold its breath. Kale twirled his crystal spear, its blade humming with sharp energy. His tall frame was steady, his every movement filled with confidence. He was a warrior born, his life trained for this very moment. Ryan stood across from him, bare-handed, his chest still aching from the river. His fists were tight, but sweat slid down his face. He had no armor, no weapons, only himself. The leader lifted his arm high, then dropped it. The trial had begun. Kale moved first. He charged like a storm, his spear flashing in the firelight. Ryan barely dodged the first strike, the blade cutting a glowing line across the dirt where he had stood. The second strike came faster, sweeping sideways. Ryan ducked, the spearhead passing inches from his face. The clan roared, shouting Kale's name. Their voices shook the clearing like thunder. Ryan's lungs burned. His body screamed at him to run, but he knew there was nowhere to go. He forced his mind to focus. Don't fight like him. Fight like yourself. Liara's words echoed in his head. Kale lunged again. Ryan grabbed a handful of dirt and threw it at Kale's glowing eyes. The warrior snarled, momentarily blinded, stumbling back. The clan gasped in shock. Ryan didn't wait. He rushed forward and slammed his shoulder into Kale's chest. The bigger man barely moved, but Ryan's sudden strike knocked him slightly off balance. For a moment, Ryan's hope flickered, but then Kale roared and swung his spear in a wide arc. The crystal blade grazed Ryan's arm, searing his skin with blue fire. Pain exploded through him. He stumbled, clutching his arm, teeth gritted. The clan cheered Kale's name again. Ryan could feel their hatred pressing on him. They wanted him to fail. Liara's eyes found his across the circle. She did not cheer, but her lips moved in a whisper only he could read. Think, not strength. Think. Ryan forced himself to breathe, through the pain. Kale was stronger, faster, trained. Ryan couldn't match him head-on, but Kale was also proud, maybe too proud. He expected Ryan to fight like a warrior. That was his weakness. Cale charged again, spear raised high. Ryan pretended to stumble, luring him closer. At the last second, Ryan rolled aside. Cale's spear struck the stone floor, cracking it with a sharp echo. Ryan grabbed a fallen branch from the ground and swung it hard against the spear shaft. The crystal weapon shook in Cale's grip. The clan shouted in surprise. Cale growled, yanking his weapon free. His glowing marks pulsed brighter with fury. Ryan backed away, holding the branch like a staff. His arm throbbed, his chest heaved, but his eyes burned with fire. "Come on," he muttered under his breath. "Let's finish this." Kyle attacked, in a flurry of strikes, his spear slashing faster and faster. Ryan blocked with the branch, each blow rattling his bones. Sparks flew as crystals struck wood. The branch cracked, splinters flying, but Ryan held on. Finally, Cale swung with all his strength. Ryan sidestepped, letting the spear smash through the branch completely. The force carried Cale forward, leaving him open for just a second. Ryan didn't waste it. He lunged and drove his fist into Cale's jaw with everything he had. The blow wasn't enough to drop the giant, but it stunned him. Cale staggered, the clan gasped. Ryan panted, his knuckles bleeding, his body screaming with exhaustion. But he didn't back down. He raised his broken branch like a sword. "I may not be a warrior like you," he shouted, voice raw, "but I won't stop. Not while I live." Cale's glowing eyes narrowed. His pride had been wounded. With a roar, he rushed again, spear thrusting. Ryan twisted, grabbed the spear shaft with both hands, and pulled with all his weight. The weapon jolted sideways, slipping from Cale's grip. The spear clattered to the ground. The circle erupted in shocked cries. Warriors shouted, some in anger, some in disbelief. Ryan picked up the weapon, its humming crystal vibrating in his hands. For a heartbeat, he thought of striking Cale down, ending it. But then he saw Liara. Her glowing eyes pleaded silently, not for victory, for mercy. Ryan's chest heaved. He raised the spear high, then slammed it into the dirt beside Cale's head. The ground lit with blue sparks. "I don't want your law," Ryan said, his voice shaking with both anger and exhaustion. "But I will not kill for it either." The silence was heavy. Kyle stared at him, humiliated, rage burning in his eyes. But he could not deny what had happened. He had been disarmed, defeated. The leader stepped forward. His face was hard as stone, but in his eyes there was something else. Respect, or perhaps curiosity. He raised his spear and shouted a word. The clan repeated it, the sound shaking the night. Ryan dropped Cale's spear and staggered back, every muscle trembling. He had survived, but in his heart, he knew this was only the beginning. Liara came to his side, her voice a whisper meant only for him. "You surprised them. You surprised me. But this was only the first test. Greater trials will come." Ryan nodded weakly, his vision blurring. "I'll be ready," he said. But deep inside, he wondered if he truly could be. The circle of warriors slowly broke apart after the trial. Some turned away in silence, their glowing eyes hard. Others whispered in their tongue, voices heavy with disbelief. Cale stood apart, fists clenched, his pride shattered, his fury burning like fire that would not die. Ryan, chest heaving, wiped blood from his lip. His body ached with every breath, but he stayed on his feet. He had survived. Somehow, against all odds, he had not only lived but disarmed the strongest warrior of the clan, and he had done it without killing. The leader studied him in silence. At last, he lowered his spear and spoke in his broken English. "You fight with no blade. You fight with mercy. Strange, but strong," the clan murmured. Mercy was not their way. In their law, victory meant dominance, and dominance often ended in blood. Ryan had shown them something different, something that unsettled them. Liara stepped closer, her silver hair catching the blue firelight. Her glowing eyes met Ryan's, filled with something he had not seen before, curiosity, perhaps even respect. "You could have ended him," she whispered, "but you chose not to." Ryan winced as he held his bruised side. Killing him wouldn't have proved anything. It would have just made me like him. Her gaze lingered on him, unreadable. Then she looked away, as if afraid of her own thoughts. The warriors led them back through the jungle, but the air was different now. Some looked at Ryan with quiet suspicion. Others, strangely, with admiration. The law had forced them to accept him, but his actions had given them something they did not expect: doubt about their own customs. As they entered the heart of the clan's territory, Ryan finally saw their world in full. Towering stone spires covered in glowing carvings rose from the ground, connected by bridges of woven crystal. Fires burned in hanging baskets, lighting walkways high above the jungle floor. Strange beasts with armored hides roamed at the edges, watched over by guards. It was both beautiful and intimidating, a living fortress hidden in the wild. Ryan was led to a wide platform overlooking the river valley. From here, the stars above looked closer, sharper, as if he could reach out and touch them. Liara stood beside him, her expression unreadable. He broke the silence first. "You don't agree with this, do you? This life-holder bond?" Her lips pressed into a thin line. For a moment, she said nothing. Then, finally, her voice came, soft but steady. "No, I do not. The law binds us, but it also cages us. I am no child to belong to another. Yet..." She hesitated, her glowing eyes drifting to him. "You saved me, and by our law I cannot escape you." Ryan looked at her carefully. "Then maybe we can change it. Together." Her eyes widened slightly as if his words had shaken something deep inside her. No one in her clan would ever speak against tradition, but this outsider dared to. "You do not understand," she said. "The law is not just words. It is power. If we break it, the clans will see us as cursed. They will destroy us both." Ryan exhaled slowly, gazing out at the twin suns sinking below the horizon. "Then we find another way. I don't want to own you, Liara. I just want you to be free." For the first time, she said her own name aloud. "You know it now. Liara." He turned to her. She looked almost vulnerable in that moment, though she tried to hide it. Her glowing eyes softened. Silence stretched between them, filled only by the sounds of distant drums and jungle calls. But their moment did not last. From the shadows below, Kale watched with burning rage. His pride had been shattered, but his hatred was alive. To see Liara standing so close to Ryan, to see her speak her name to him, it was an insult he could not forgive. Ryan felt the weight of Kale's stare but did not look away from Liara. Something had shifted between them. Something fragile but undeniable. The clan leader appeared once more, his scarred face grim. "The trial is done, but more will come. Outsider, your bond is not yet proven. Tomorrow the great beast rises. If you are truly life-holder, you will face it." Ryan's heart sank. He had barely survived Kyle. How could he survive a beast that even these warriors feared? Liara's face paled. "No one has defeated the beast," she whispered. "Not even Kale." The leader's eyes burned. "Then your life-holder will die, and the bond will die with him." Ryan clenched his fists, fighting the fear twisting inside him. He wanted to scream that this wasn't fair, that he never asked for any of it. But when he looked at Liara standing beside him, he found his resolve harden. He would not let them take her away. He would fight. The night was heavy with silence. The jungle seemed to bow before what was coming. Warriors lit blue fires around, a great stone pit at the edge of the clan's territory. The air trembled with chants, voices deep and sharp, rising like thunder. Ryan stood at the pit's edge, his chest tight, his body aching from the duel with Kale. His wounds had not healed, and yet the clan demanded more. The leader raised his crystal spear, his scarred face unreadable. "The great beast wakes," he said, his broken English heavy as stone. "If you are life-holder, you face it. If you fall, the bond ends. If you win..." His eyes burned with strange fire. "Then even the law will bow to you." The crowd roared. Spears struck the ground in rhythm. Beside Ryan, Liara stood with her silver hair shimmering in the firelight. She whispered, her voice trembling. No one has ever defeated the beast. Even Kale failed last season. If you go down there, you may not return. Ryan looked at her glowing eyes filled with fear and something deeper, hope. Then I'll have to be the first, he said quietly. Not for their law, for us. The pit shook as something inside it stirred. The ground rumbled like a drumbeat. Then, with a roar that split the night, the beast rose. It was enormous, larger than any animal Ryan had seen. Its body was covered in armored scales that glowed faintly, shifting from blue to crimson. 4 massive legs dug into the ground like tree trunks, and its eyes shone with burning gold. When it opened its mouth, rows of jagged teeth caught the firelight. The clan cheered wildly, their chants filling the air. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. He had no weapon, no armor, only his stubborn will. The beast lunged forward, shaking the earth. Ryan dove aside as its claws ripped through the ground where he had stood. Dust and stone exploded into the air. He rolled, scrambling to his feet, heart hammering. His mind raced. He couldn't fight it head-on. He needed to think, needed to survive. The beast roared again, sweeping its massive tail. Ryan ducked behind a fallen stone pillar, the tail smashing it to rubble. He gasped, his body trembling with adrenaline. Liara's voice carried across the pit. Ryan, look at its chest. His eyes darted to the beast. Among its glowing scales, near its heart, one patch flickered weaker than the rest. A scar. A weakness. Ryan forced his shaking legs to move. He sprinted toward the scar, dodging as the beast snapped at him with massive jaws. He leapt onto a boulder, then another, climbing higher as the beast turned, its golden eyes burning with fury. With a desperate leap, Ryan landed on the beast's back. Its scales burned against his skin, but he clung tight, crawling toward the scar. The beast thrashed wildly, trying to throw him off. The crowd roared louder, some in excitement, others in fear. Ryan slammed his fist against the weak patch. Once, twice. The scales cracked slightly, glowing sparks bursting out. The beast roared, twisting violently. Ryan nearly lost his grip. He raised his fist again, then stopped. If he broke through, if he killed it, the beast would die. But something inside him whispered, "Is this the only way?" The clan expected blood. They always expected death. But Ryan had not won against Kale by killing. He had won by being different. His mind flashed to Liara, to the chains she carried from her law, to the mercy he had shown before, and suddenly, he knew. Instead of striking again, Ryan drove his hand flat against the scar and shouted with all his strength, "Stop, enough." His voice was small compared to the beast's roar, but something strange happened. The beast froze, golden eyes burning into him. Its massive body trembled, but it did not strike. The glow of its scales flickered uncertainly. The pit went silent. Ryan breathed hard, his voice steady now. "I will not kill you. I will not follow a law that demands death for honor. I saved Liara because it was right. And I stand here now because I choose it, not because of your chains." The beast let out a deep rumble like thunder fading in the distance. Slowly it lowered its head to the ground. Then, as if bowing, it stepped back into the shadows of the pit and vanished. The clan erupted into chaos. Shouts rose on every side. Some furious, others stunned. Never had the beast spared a warrior. Never had it bowed. The leader's scarred face was pale with shock. His voice trembled when he spoke. "The beast obeyed him," Kyle shouted in rage, his pride broken further. But even his voice was lost in the storm of the crowd. Liara's eyes were wide, glowing brighter than ever. She rushed to Ryan's side as he climbed out of the pit, his body shaking with exhaustion. "You did not just survive," she whispered. "You changed everything." Ryan met her gaze. His chest rose and fell, his face covered in dust and blood. "No," he said. "We changed everything." The leader raised his spear slowly. The clan fell silent. His voice was rough but heavy with respect. The law has been tested. The law has been broken. But perhaps the law must bend. For the first time, Ryan felt the weight of the bond lift slightly. Liara's hand brushed his, not in chains, but in choice. The night sky glowed with two suns sinking low. And in that moment, Ryan realized his journey was only beginning.